It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey everybody, good morning. It is Thursday, March 13th. I'm Jake Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Closen. Welcome to the Victoria Real Estate Show. Hello, and who do we have here?
Today we have, myself and Jen, but myself is Andrew Plank with the Vibe Collective at Royal LePage. And hello, Jen.
Jen Lowe, mortgage broker with DLC, which stands for Dominion Lending Modern Mortgage Group.
Right, and today we're going to be talking about short-term rentals and why you need to register any place that you have that's rented for less than 30 days before March 31st with the BC government. And then we're going to talk about our stats, and then we're going to talk about what's happening with our latest interest rate. So we're flipping things around, and we're doing this just because we feel that probably the topic of the day is of most interest to people. It's also the evergreen content, and that people will access that. All right, so let's get started. Andrew.
Okay, so I have not familiarized myself with this topic because we didn't really discuss it before doing this. So, but first of all, what is a short-term rental? That I can actually speak to, of course, just not up on the current legislation because it's not affecting my business super, super tightly. But accommodations provided to the public, less than 90 days generally, found usually in residential areas and resort areas. They're often advertised in the online sites like Airbnb and VRBO and Booking.com. They can also be found in Facebook Marketplace, newspaper ads, and so forth. It does not apply to accommodation that is for 90 consecutive days or longer, things that generally fall under the residential tenancy branch legislations. So it's the short-term rentals that the government is concerned with. They're trying to open up space for regular housing, not for these types of things. Now, one thing that's different than what we're talking about is strata hotels. Those are going to be, I don't know that those are included in the registration. Jane can maybe comment on that when we get into the actual details of this legislation.
It depends if it's run by a hotel or if it's run individually. So if you have a unit in a hotel and you're operating it on your own, then yeah, you're going to be paying. So what they're trying to do, I think this is step one. Step one is they're trying to get rid of short-term rentals, and so they want to know who has one in BC.
Right. So there's legal use. There's some legal definition. How do we put this? Legal parameters around short-term rentals. There is some limited scope of where short-term rentals can be allowed, and by making a registry, the government is now ensuring that those people who are advertising properties as short-term rentals are doing it within the boundaries of these requirements and guidelines.
Right, and so you may actually need you will need a number. They're going to give you a number, and then you have to display that in your Airbnb or VRBO, wherever you're marketing it, Facebook Marketplace. You have to display that number to let them know that you do have a valid license. So they're going to be spending a lot of energy from March 31st to the end of May to figure all of this out.
It's kind of like a business license for a company, which makes sense. But companies should be licensed. This is business license for operating your short-term rental. However, you're not going to get a business license if your short-term rental doesn't match the requirements.
Right. And I'm actually not seeing the exact cost of it, but I can tell you that if you don't do it, if you're non-compliant, then they're going to be charging you between $2,000 to $50,000, and or $1,000 to $3,000 a day. So that is quite a big change.
Yes.
That is not
I'm
a small
curious.
amount of money. Yeah.
Last April, they brought in legislation about short-term rentals, and is it that this new piece is requiring owners to now register? Well, like, I'm confused. What's the difference from now to last April when they brought this into place?
Well, last year, you mean when they changed the rental designations?
Yes. Yes.
So they were just saying that, so for short-term rentals, you have to have it in a house where you're living. You have
Right.
to, there has to be somebody who actually lives in the house who's monitoring it. And I think the reason for that is actually safety. And I know, like, where my sister lives in Ontario, they were having a lot of short-term rentals. Nobody was there, and there was actually a death and lots of shenanigans happening in police. And there was no increase in money to anybody in the local municipality where the Airbnb was running. So there was more police presence, but no payment to pay for that.
Gotcha.
So that's one reason why they're doing it, is because they want to know where the Airbnbs are, and then and have them registered. And then what they want is to put more people in houses full time. So I think there's going to be a push.
Yes.
I mean,
Well,
the
that's what
overall
they're
reason
doing
for
now.
this. Yeah, the overall reason for this is just, I mean, the main reason, I think that the main stated reason is that they're looking to expand housing or open up housing for residential tenants, regular tenancies, so that are unhoused, or there's more housing for people looking for housing. And that means denying people the ability to do the short-term rentals that tends to lock that kind of property up. But in addition to that, that was they first they made the rules. Now they're making the enforcement.
Right.
And I think they didn't have the capacity when they brought in the rule last April, I guess, too, is where I was going with trying to figure it out as well. I mean, I live on a small little cul-de-sac, and we've got an Airbnb house that's rented out regularly. The whole house is rented out, and usually like stags or, football teams, baseball teams will rent out the house, and it's a problem.
Is it a noise issue? Is that the issue?
Noise.
Are you just not getting invited?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
But the vehicles, safety for the children in the cul-de-sac, just all, it's operated like a hotel.
Right.
So one thing, Jen, is they have this thing on the site, which we'll post, that is a principal residence location map. And you can see whether or not the person is required to be in the house if they're going to be renting it out. And let me just look here.
This is like a Tattler kind of thing. Big Brother is no longer Big Brother. We are all each other's Big Brother as we watch out and enforce everything.
I guess so. I'll share this with you right now. So can you see that?
Short-term rental registration. Yeah. Shall I read this, or do you want to read this?
Sorry, I might be having the wrong one. Is it saying?
It looks like the wrong screen.
Is it about?
It's about registration fees. Let me.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Hold on a second. Let me get this. Let me just share this. Stop screen. Hold on a second. Present. can't do that.
So Airbnb must also be on board with this as well and sharing the information.
Yeah, I'm wondering how they're going to do it with Facebook Marketplace, because that's kind of the Wild West.
Right.
It's a good word for it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there's also people have websites. I know some people have just individual websites. They're not advertising on social media sites or anything, but they have a website with their quote Airbnb. People advertise in lots of different places. And even with legislation, they'll find their ways around that if they can. I think one key thing if you are doing Airbnb, folks, and I'm sure if you are, hopefully you're already aware of this legislation and you've looked into it and seen how it applies to you. But there is a lot of confusion because this provincial rules, for example, that say it has, you can rent as long as it's your principal residence, you're still living in the home, you can rent a space in the home. That's still not allowed if the overlying zoning in the municipality that you live in doesn't allow for short-term rentals. So just because there's a provincial overlay, if there's a municipal overlay that doesn't allow short-term rentals, you're not allowed to do short-term rentals. There's a big confusion there.
I think what's going to happen is you're going to have people applying for this, and the municipality is going to know now that there are short-term rentals happening in these different places. We talked about this on an earlier show, and then they'll go and make this. So you're going to actually have two fees, one with the municipality and one with, I think, with the province.
Yeah. This gets, it's interesting, and I'm going down a slight rabbit hole here, but as we get more AI and more technology available to us and more interconnected databases, we're going to see government moving faster to bring in legislation that they think is a good idea. It's going to get easier for them to enforce and collect data and make changes. But we're also hopefully going to get more streamlined as well in what we can do. And hopefully some of these things I think we're going to live in a Wild West for a while of change as we enter an era where it's so easy to collect and access information. But as Jen has alluded to many times, you still got to enforce it. If you don't have an enforcement mechanism, people will continue to break the rules, because rules without enforcement who drives more than 50 in a 50 zone? The police do.
Not me.
Everyone does. Okay, not you. Yeah, Jane's not going to admit that publicly.
I do.
Yeah, because you go with what everyone else. You drive at the same pace as everyone else, right? Some people drive slower and some people drive faster, but those posted signposts are just posted signposts for a lot of people. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that, this is what rules are. So in a general sense, this stuff that's coming in, unless there's enforcement, people will continue to do Airbnb. If there's major enforcement, major fines, it's going to be really hard for people to do Airbnb. So we'll have to see how this all comes about.
So the other thing you need to know is when you go to register, you will need to have a BC EID or a BC services card to register. So this is another thing as well. And if you own a rental, you actually need a BC EID anyway, because you need that to access the forms to give people notice if you're going to be vacating the home.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So this is a good side point, and this is not great for folks that are not very tech savvy. Or, it's just a minefield of things you have to remember on making sure you do things right. But you're right. If you want to give notice to tenants, now there's a prescribed way of going about it. It has to be done through this website. In order to access this website, register as a landlord. In order to give this, you have to have a registered BC EID account, or a registered account, and you have to use your BC EID. However that works. Anyway.
Just so you know, though, if you're a realtor and you're giving a notice on behalf of a homeowner, we have to fill that form out. Yay. Yeah.
Yes.
Pardon? So you do have to register. Well, you don't have to register by March 31st, but if you don't register, you pay 25% more. And if you aren't compliant by May 1st, so you have a month, then your listing will be taken off any place that you're advertising it. And then we'll also start canceling all your listings, start
So there must
canceling all your bookings.
some cooperation and the Airbnb companies like Airbnb, like bookings.com, VRBO must be involved in actually monitoring this as well and making those cancellations.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they will also stop you from registering new bookings unless you have that number. So you will have to do it. And probably I'm thinking what's going to happen is there's going to be on these sites, there's going to be a place where you enter the number.
It's interesting because if they're canceling existing bookings, because it's going to say you must stop advertising your short-term rentals, it will prevent any new bookings, and the system, it says so whoever they are, will cancel existing bookings. There's going to be some people who have made plans to come here, we're relying on these, and are going to get canceled and may not be able to find alternate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's loving this, of course, is the hotels.
Right. They're probably lobbying for it, I'm thinking.
Who knows?
Yep.
But, we also have some big events coming up soon where we're going to have, like, for example, FIFA, where we're going to have loads of people coming into BC looking for housing, and the hotels are not going to be able to accommodate it. And people are going to be paying astronomical amounts of pricing. And I don't think the government's ready for this.
Well, we'll see.
Anyway.
It's kind of, what is it? Shoot, fire, aim, or something like
that's
that.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I think, I used to work in government, they would do this. And it's one of the reasons why I don't work in government anymore. I hate it.
It's
jump and find your wings.
It's fire, aim, ready, or something like that.
Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire, ready, aim. Yeah.
Jen, do you have any questions about this?
No, I do know. Well, I've got a short-term rental in Port Renfrew, and we've gone through the process and got the registration number and are all ready to go. But
good.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So, folks, if you have questions about the process, someone actually having been through it is Jen. So give her a call. She'd be happy to help you walk you through
it. Sure. I'll have to reach out to my mother-in-law if she's watching. Anyway, carry on.
Okay, so new listings over the past 7 days. We had 420 and 132 went pending. I think that's just because the number of listings actually jumped compared to the earlier week. Price decreases were 129. So these are people who are getting serious. Let's get this place sold. Price increases were 1. Back on market were 3. Usually that's for repairs or something done. And the solds that were processed this past week, which is not a big week, second week in the month, were 51 and 22 expired. So they may have been relisted. Hey, Andrew.
So here we are in March 2025. We're going to be broadcasting this on March 13th. These stats are as of March 10th. So as of March 10th, net unconditional sales so far this month, 153. Last year, for the full month of March, we had 587 sales. So here we are, a third of the way in, 153. You could extrapolate that out, multiply by 3, and say we'll probably be at 450 sales. Wouldn't be surprised, though, if sales begin to accelerate as we move into spring. So let's round that up and say maybe we're going to be 500 sales. This is my prediction by end of March. So probably less of sales than March 2024. Do I have any nods or shaking of heads on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I feel it's hot for me. I'm feeling the market is pretty fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing, and we're also seeing inventory opening up. You saw in that last slide that we had just how many new listings we had come on. And that does mean we will, buyers who've been on the fence because they haven't been finding the inventory, they've been ready, willing, and able to buy. They just haven't found the property for them. We're going to have more selection. So hopefully that will help them to pick up some properties and increase the acceleration on that. New listings, 429 so far this month. And again, in March 2024, there were 1,309. So 429, again, times 3 is around 1,300. So we're about the same numbers if the new listings stays at the same pace. We are probably going to see that accelerate, actually, because as we move into spring, more and more people who've been getting their homes ready for market are going to be coming on. So I'm going to say our new listings is going to be above last year's 1,309. Comments on that, guys?
I don't think overall, though, the number of listings is going to go up. I have a feeling like if we're seeing the number of sales I'm perceiving in my head, that I think the total active listings probably won't go up that much. But
we may not see that. I'm actually talking about new listings coming on market.
Yeah.
So
I know. Yeah. I think we will see new listings, but I think they're going to be absorbed. That's what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, right now, active listings is 2,747. And for March 2024, we ended out the month at 2,647. So a little less than we currently have. Jane is saying, and I agree with her actually, we'll probably sort of stick around this same number. So we'll probably won't be seeing, I agree with Jane, put that on the calendar. No, we're actually often on the same page. So what we're probably going to see is not a significant change in the number of active listings, more or less. It's kind of hard to predict what we're going to see there, but probably stick close to that. Okay, so that's that slide.
Okay, and then we're going to talk about why we might see more sales. Jen, what happened today with our latest Bank of Canada rate?
So the Bank of Canada dropped their overnight lending rate to 2.75%. That's a 0.25% reduction. That is the rate that banks and lenders borrow money at. It transfers into a 0.25% rate reduction off of the bank's prime rate. So that has dropped from 5.2 to 4.95. This is specific to variable rate mortgage holders. So if you have a variable rate mortgage, you will happily have a reduction to the amount of interest that you are paying, and or a reduction to your monthly payment. Yay! Yeah.
But the reason for it is because they're anticipating that we're going to have inflation due to costs increasing because of tariffs.
Exactly. Interesting. So I was in a meeting this morning with webinar with our Dominion Lending's chief economist, Dr. Sherry Cooper. And she's been right 16 out of the last 17 rate decisions. She was right again with the 0.25%. However, she said any economist that's making a prediction right now, it is a total guesstimate because the tariffs really have a huge play on what happens in the economy.
Right. And what does she think? Sorry.
She thinks that there's going to be another rate drop of 0.25% on April 16th, which is the next time the Bank of Canada meets. And then again on June 4th, another 0.25 percentage point. However, if inflation goes up, there may be a pause on the one of those rate drops may or may not happen.
Oh, right. Yeah, because they want to control it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to get away from that again. I was just going to say that it's, the stock market just in the last couple of days has been mostly down, but all over the place. And that's indirect, that the the communication is that's in direct result of the uncertainty around the tariffs. There's constantly changing communication about they're on again, they're off again, they're going to be on this, now they're going to be on that. There's the countermeasures that we are putting in place, and then those are coming into place, and then those are coming off. So the markets just don't know how to handle that. And you can extrapolate that to buyers and sellers of real estate. Uncertainty is not good for many buyers and sellers.
But I think what's going to happen is people will start taking money out of, and I know that this is happening, that they're selling off their U.S. investments and they're moving it into real estate. So I don't know. It's kind of like, who knows?
People move from volatile to more secure, right? And wherever they feel that security is going to be. So gold, crypto, not.
No,
But people do flock to the US dollar traditionally. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case anymore, but we'll see. And again, this is way beyond our expertise level. We're now just speculating about other things, but I would say that real estate has always been a solid, stable investment. It does go up and down, but it is something that is bricks and mortar, as they say. You're actually investing in something you can control, and you can also use it as an income vehicle. So it's a great place for putting money, especially if you need a place to live. If you've been a renter with a bunch of savings and have just never wanted to buy property now, but you've got investments, this might be a good time to flip things into housing.
Yeah, I'm going to agree.
Well, and for the first time in a while here, we've got an interest rate under 4%. So we can get 3.99% on a 5-year fixed rate right now, which is great. Now, there's obviously stipulations to that, but it is out there, which is great.
So I was going to say, one thing that made me feel a bit vulnerable is just that we're on an island with access to major ports. and I'm like, this is a good, this is a very strategic place to live, right? So, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Guess so. You know what's made me feel vulnerable lately, being on an island, is the various couple of earthquakes that have rumbled across the land. You guys experience those?
Yeah, I did at 5:00, whenever last week. In the morning, I was like, wow, I can hear things rumbling. Yeah.
I have not felt one of them, but my theory is that those are good. It just reduces the pressure. So then the big one's not going to come. But I'm talking, like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Full disclosure.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
I think you're in a better place where you live now than where you used to live.
Yes.
So, on a rock as opposed to on a pile of rocks. Right?
And that actually would be a good upcoming topic for us to talk about, because we have various disaster maps here in Victoria that show danger zones for tsunamis, for earthquake, and that kind of thing. Some of the considerations you want to make around that kind of thing. Folks, if you think that's a good future topic, please speak up. But I think we'll probably put that into our pipeline. Because it's timely.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, this is a good segue.
Yeah.
We have to talk this one out. So if you like this show, please send it to somebody who you think might be interested. Don't forget to subscribe. Please comment, because we want to hear from you, and share it on your social media so that it reaches people of interest. And we are on every Thursday morning at 9:30. We'd love to hear from you. Please message us. Andrew, how do people reach you?
Yeah, I'm at 250-360-6106. Email info@andrewplank.com or Andrew@realvibe.ca. I'm with the Vibe Collective, and my website is andrewplank.com or realvibe.ca, and looking forward to hearing from you.
Jen.
I am at 250-217-4925. I'm with Modern Mortgage Group. Email is jen@jenlow.ca, and my website is jenlow.ca.
All right. And my
Nice.
name is Jane Johnston. I'm Personal Real Estate Corporation. My number is 250-744-0775. My email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. And you can visit our website at briarhillgroup.com, or you can watch these shows and more at victoriarealestateshow.com. And don't forget to visit me on Instagram at realtyteacher_remax_Victoria or Briar Hill Group. All right, you guys, take care. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Good to see y'all.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.